Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bonus Point. We're here on our Champions League Tuesday, so really excited to go and watch those games. So I'm just trying to film this quickly, and then I get to go and look at those games. Quickly before we start, I have a few announcements over from RPM, Elite Fantasy Premier League. We just finished off our second month, and that means there's another prize that's getting giveaway. So big congrats to Shannon Duncan, who managed to win out for September. So Shannon, yeah, you have a bit of money in your pocket now. See what you can spend it on. Maybe you can put that in the comments. And then we also gave away a weekly prize for Game Week 6. And in case you all don't know, every other week we're going to be giving away a prize for that specific game week as well. And Kedar Bartholomew is the guy that managed to win that one. So congrats to Kedar and congrats to Shannon for winning our prizes. And shit, keep it up. Maybe I'll like to come on the video one day and give these fellas some better advice, because clearly what they're doing pretty good, and people might be fed up hearing my mouth as well. But that's it for the RPM announcements. Another thing I wanted to mention quickly before we got into the regular review that we do on a Tuesday is I wanted to mention the wildcard. So a lot of people might have used their wildcard back on game week 3 or 4. If you didn't, now you're probably thinking about using it now in game week 7 or in 8. Just to give my quick opinion about that, I personally think that game week 8 is the ideal one to use it rather than game week 7. The reason for that is because in game week 7, City playing against Liverpool, these are two teams that we probably want to target, so it seems like a bit premature to go ahead and put City and Liverpool players into our team and then they're playing against each other, so that's kind of weird. And then in game week 8, you can actually target a decent amount of teams that have some fixture swings for the better. You could also get rid of all the United assets because we know they're going into a rougher time of the season right now. So some teams that you could target, for example, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, these teams should definitely be finishing in the top 4, and it just so happens that they all have some nice games coming up. More so for Liverpool and Chelsea. City have some kind of off and on, but their defense is so good that I would just recommend that you target them anyway. But enough about that wildcard. We're going to talk more in detail about the wildcard on Thursday. But for now, we're going to get into the game week review. In case you didn't get to see any games this weekend, or in case you didn't get to see much, I'm just going to tell you what I think about the football that happened this weekend. So let's just get straight into it. First, we have Chelsea versus City. Game week started pretty nice with Chelsea versus Manchester City. That was a pretty interesting game, I would say. And I think we actually learned a lot in terms of FPL from that game. So one of the main things is that prior to this game week, I said that on paper, City's defense has been the best in the league. I think they managed to show that on the day. Chelsea is not a bad attacking team, but they weren't able to attack much against City on the day. I think Pep finally get a little one-up on Tuchel on the day, which I was happy for the man for being able to do that. Been taking some L's recently from Tuchel, but I think the game was pretty good. I think we learned that City's defense is not to be played with. I think we learned that Cancelo should be starting regularly in the league. I think we also learned that Grealish is basically just a machine. The man can play multiple 90 minutes every weekend and during the week. And the guy does not even look tired on the field. So I think Grealish could definitely be one to target for a future wildcard. And then finally, I think it's time to concede that Alonso might actually just be a consistent starter now. At the start of the season, I kept saying that I'm not sure. I don't know if he's going to keep starting. We don't know how long he's going to keep this up for. There's always Chilwell there. He needs to come back in at some point. I mean, that's the thing we all say, Chilwell has to come back at some point, but it's just not looking so, and it's like every other week. Alonso just keeps starting. So at some point, and listen, when Alonso is a consistent player, we know how good he is for FPL. So at some point, I think we're just going to have to stop being bitches and just put him in, So Alonso definitely somebody that I'll be looking at now. I'm not looking at him as a rotation risk anymore. Maybe that's a bit naive, but I mean, the guy keeps starting, it's 6 weeks in a row now, and playing in the Champions League as well. It looks like he's earned Tuchel's trust, I would say. Moving on to Manchester United versus Aston Villa. I know a lot of United fans not happy about this result. and they probably didn't expect it either. I think if people had Ronaldo, they went ahead and captained them, and I feel sorry for Oliver because Ronaldo probably should have taken that penalty in the last minute of the game. He'd have probably buried that as well. Not saying that I expected Bruno to miss, but that's just life, right? I think with that, we've learned that Ronaldo is probably going to take the next penalty since Bruno went ahead and not just got his shit saved, but hit the thing sky high, you know? So, yeah, I think Ronaldo going to be on the next one for sure. What else did we learn? Luke Shaw got hurt in this game, so just pay attention to that. I know a lot of us had Luke Shaw, and a lot of us already planned to take him out anyway. But, yeah, just pay attention to that. He hurt himself during the game. And then, the last thing I'm going to say is that I think Greenwood still had a good game. I know it's like 2 weeks in a row now that he didn't return. But for a guy that's 7.7, we don't really need them returning every single week anyway. So I don't think we should be too upset that Greenwood is now blank 2 games in a row. I think that's just what happens with players around that price point. But he's still been playing pretty well. So if you need to keep him, I wouldn't really be too upset about that. Moving on into Everton versus Norwich, I think this game went exactly how we planned. Without Richarlison and without DCL, we knew that the attack won't be as good as it should be. But we still expected Everton to win this game comfortably, and that is exactly what they did on the day. They look pretty good. I think Rafa has the guys attacking a lot better than last season. And even the defense, now personally I don't really like to target Everton's defense, but if you want to, I guess I could understand. They're going into a rougher period right now, so definitely not a defense that I would recommend you all to target. But they are keeping a few clean sheets for the season so far, so I guess I could understand that. In terms of actually defending though, I don't really rate their defense. I don't think it's that good. I think they give up a decent amount of chances. But I'll definitely target the attackers. Guys like Gray and Townsend, I think are really worth the price. I could see Townsend getting dropped in the future just when DCL and Richarlison are back, simply because, I mean, you have to play those guys over somebody, and I would drop Townsend instead of Damari Gray, considering the season that Gray is having. But I still think Townsend is a decent option, just not somebody that I would look at. But I'll still continue to look at Gray though. Moving on into Leeds versus West Ham. I mean, alright, at this point I think Antonio in the Premier League is just goated, okay? Like, the guy is playing so good this season. He even seems to have a good touch, which is crazy for Antonio, but I mean, it's like, wow. And he's so confident as well. For those that captained him, I mean, hats off to y'all. I'm glad y'all pay attention to the video in that case. But yeah, he was a great captain. On the day he managed to score, get some bonus points, and turned out to be the best out of the 3 popular choices for this weekend. Another thing is that Rafinha is an absolute baller. However, he did manage to re-injure on the day, so we're not sure if he's going to be playing this weekend again. Just something that I would pay attention to. Bielsa is usually pretty straightforward in his press conferences, so you can look out for that for any news on Rafinha's injury. But he did manage to get a goal. I thought that his goal was just a display of how technical this guy is, because the technique that he put on that ball was just fantastic. And yeah, we're talking about like a hard, basically a driven pass into the goal from outside the box. First time, I mean, the guy is just too technical. He's very good. And definitely someone that should be in our teams once he's fit. However, the Leeds defense, I think Leeds defense is definitely one that you could target. They are just not defending very well this season, and they have a decent amount of injuries to deal with as well. People playing out of position, and all sorts of shitness. So yeah, that defense is definitely one that you could target, as in players going against that defense is a fixture you could definitely target. And similarly, moving into Leicester versus Burnley, I think this Leicester defense is also one that you can start targeting for your players going against them. Leicester's defending has just been awful this season. I'm not even sure if they managed to keep any clean sheets. I think maybe one, but that's not impressive at all. They're taking a lot of shots inside the box. A lot of chances are being created against them, and you're seeing it in the results too, because they take a lot of goals. So definitely this defense is one that I would target for my players going against. In terms of the attack, I think it's just Vardy. Vardy is somebody that I think I underrate every single year because every year passes and I say he's getting older, he has to slow down at some point. It's just not happening. He is still a fantastic player. He's also on the penalties, even though he hasn't really scored much of those recently. But just reminding you all, he's also still on the penalties, which is always good, you know. The only thing is that at that price point, I think it's not worth it. So even though he's scoring, I still won't really go for him just because I think he's too expensive. And on Burnley's end, there's not really much to report here. It's not an attack that I would like to target. It's not a defense that I would really like to target. It's just overall not a team that I would go for. So not much to say about Burnley. Moving on now to Watford versus Newcastle. I mean, we had the two informed players getting returns again. Salah scored the only goal and Saint Maximin got the only assist for his team. I mean, that's just fantastic. I think the goal from Salah was a little bit lucky, but he had a decent game overall. I think Saint Maximin is really starting to frag out at this point. He's showing the league what he could do. Maybe even playing for a move, I don't know. But yeah, he had a really good game on the day as well. I think when he's on his day, he's pretty much unplayable. It's just that consistency is hard to get from him. But hopefully, when Callum Wilson comes back and whatnot, he should be seeing a better partner to work off of. Because right now, he has to work with Joe Linton, and that is very difficult. But yeah, I think Saint Maximin definitely want to watch for the future, especially since strikers are becoming so rare, and he's a very cheap striker. And Ismaila Sarr, I think I'll keep him for one more game week and then look to move on. Simply because I don't trust Watford against the bigger teams to continue to score goals. It's not because Sarr is bad, it's just because of the team that he's working with. So when the fixtures get difficult, I want to remove him, and that's exactly what I'm going to do after game week 7. Branford versus Liverpool. These people gave us the best game of the season so far. 3-3, not something that we expected from the Bees at all to be able to stand up to Liverpool like this. But I think the Bees are just showing their quality at the moment. I think that they are defensively sound. I understand that they took 3 goals to Liverpool, but shit is Liverpool and it's Salah, okay? I think the attack was confident. Virgil looked a little bit flustered at some points. Well, flustered for Virgil, I guess. And they did well to double team or sometimes even triple team Trent. I think it just shows a lot of tactical awareness from Brentford and from that manager as well. That's a good job on the day. In terms of FPL, I think Ivan Toney is starting to put his name up there a little bit. He's someone that at the beginning of the season I said, I don't like how he's playing. It's not so much that he's changed per se, it's just maybe I'm paying a little bit more attention now. I don't really want to go back on my word, but I want to say that I think he's becoming a better asset. Especially now that his price is down a bit. Now he's 6.3. That's a lot better for us. His competition will be people like Saint Maximin and Adam Armstrong, who we'll get into later on. But I think he might actually just be the best one out of the bunch, especially since he has penalties as well. You know, those penalties, you start taking over at some point, you know. So, yeah, Ivan Toney definitely someone I would watch from this team, but he's the only player that I would watch from this team at this point. And then from a Liverpool's perspective, look, I won't really worry that they took 3 goals against Brentford. These games are anomalies in my opinion. They happen every once in a while. I still think Liverpool is probably the 3rd best defense in the league behind City and Chelsea. And Trent is still a player that I would hold on to. I know at 7.5, 7.6 he's a bit expensive, but he's still someone that I would continue to pay attention to because of what he could do on his day. This guy is probably on his day the best right back in the league. He's highly creative, and that's just very dangerous for FPL. Definitely someone you would want to hold on to or look at for the future. And then Salah is by far has been the best player at Liverpool this season. Just keep him. I think he is a must-own regardless of Liverpool's fixtures. I think he's just playing so well. He's on the penalties. All the chances go to him. He was a little bit wasteful on the day, but don't worry about it. He's not always going to be wasteful. Still managed to score a goal, by the way. Got another one cleared off the line, which is not really his fault. And then there was a one-on-one that he hit over the bar, but that's how it goes sometimes. On a different day, he would have had a hat-trick, and I would have had a green arrow, but so it does go sometimes. Moving on to Southampton versus Wolves, I think Wolves' defense is pretty good. It's a good one to target. The attack definitely not one that I would target. Even though Jimenez managed to score a goal, it's only his first goal for the season. I don't know if that means he's confident now. I don't know what the hell that means. All I know is that you still need time. Like, you still need to continue watching him before you just say, okay, he scored now, we go and get him. I don't really think it works like that. And then Southampton's attack is just not looking too good. I understand they played against some tougher defenses, but Lord, it's not looking too good. At the start of the season, I thought that Adam Armstrong was looking pretty good, but he died down pretty quickly, and I guess that's what we should expect for someone priced at 6.0, right? They're just not long-term options, and I think that's the case with Adam Armstrong as well. Until he goes ahead and gets another return, I'm not really paying attention to him that much. And that's all I really have to say from this fixture. Target Wolves defense, don't target anyone else from this game. Arsenal versus Tottenham. Last time I said Arsenal is a good defense. Don't worry about the attack. I'll go ahead and change it up a little bit now because I think every week they're getting better and better and better. It's definitely still a defense I would target. I honestly think that for the defenders that are priced at 4.5, they are going to be worth more than 4.5 next season. I think it's going to be a case of these guys could actually be gems this season and give us more points than you would expect for someone at 4.5. Ramsdale seems to have locked down that position as well, so he's definitely one that I will bring in on my wildcard. I'll definitely have Ramsdale on my wildcard instead of Robert Sanchez. And then in terms of the attack, listen, I think Smith Rowe is the one to go for. Not so much because he's this fantastic player or anything. I mean, he's good, he's average, but it's because the chances tend to fall to him a lot more than they fall to anyone else. They fall to Orba a lot, but that guy is too expensive, so let's forget about him for now. And then Saka doesn't really get involved that much. Like, Saka is probably one of their best attackers, but he just does not get many goals and assists. And it's just because of the way that he plays, to be honest. Smith Rowe ends up on the end a lot more than Saka does. And for that reason, I would definitely want to go for Smith Rowe instead, because I expect him to get more goals and assists this season than Saka. And he's a lot cheaper as well. So definitely, I think all the signs point towards Smith Rowe. And then, as long as this Arsenal team continues to start consistently, I think Arsenal are going to have a decent season. I can't see those problems that happened at the start of the season permeating throughout the rest, as long as this team continues to start and that they don't get too unlucky with injuries and whatnot. And then from Spurs, absolutely nothing to report. I thought Kane should have scored on the day. It didn't happen. I think Son got a little bit lucky to score because Ramsdale got decent palm to the ball, but it just went in anyway. The defense is not looking too good. The attack is not looking too good. It's just not a team that I would go for right now. And that's all I have to say about Spurs. And then finally, Crystal Palace versus Brighton. This game was okay. I think for us Robert Sanchez owners, we kind of unlucky on the Zaha penalty, but so it does go sometimes. Conor Gallagher with another return. Wilfred Zaha finally scored, even though it was from 12 yards out. That's fine. Brighton's defense is still one that I would be looking to target. If you all have Robert Sanchez, you can keep him unless you're on a wild card and you want to try Ramsdale. I definitely understand. But to be fair, I don't think there's much difference between these two goalkeepers. Okay, the only difference with Ramsdale is he getting a little bit more save points, so that's why I wanted to go for him instead. But that Brighton defense is pretty solid in my opinion, and they still have some good games coming up, so should be okay for Brighton. And then a guy that we seem to not talk about, this is actually the first time I'm talking about him this season. Yeah, it's Neil Maupay. I mean, I know that we say the Brighton attack is pretty wasteful and let's not go for them, but now Maupay has 4 goals for the season, okay? 4 goals in 6 games is not bad at all. So I think he's definitely someone that deserves to have our eyes on him, okay? At least, I'm not saying let's go ahead and get him, but I think he deserves some attention at least. 4 goals in 6 games, that's not bad. Alright, so he's actually up there in the goal scoring charts in the league so far, so definitely one to watch. But aside from him, there's no one else that I really pay attention to in Brighton's attack. And we already know about the defense, so there's nothing new to really report there. And alright, I think this episode was a little bit longer than I expected. I hope I didn't bore you all too much. I know sometimes it could be a boring one when we're just talking about all the games this weekend, but yeah, hopefully next episode is a little bit better. Next time we're going to be talking about the wild card. So on Thursday we're going to be talking about the wild card, which is always interesting. I hope I can give you all some good advice, and I hope that if you don't need to use the wild card this week, please just save it until next week, because I think next week is going to be the one to bust our wild card. Okay, aside from that, that's all that I have to report today, and see you all next time. See you all on Thursday. Let's go and watch some Champions League later.